Hey everybody, welcome to Chrome Canvas. Chrome Canvas is a really awesome, free and fun tool to learn how to draw on the computer. So for this project, we're going to be creating a Chrome Canvas self-portrait. So you see some of the pictures that I started and created. So to do this, what you're going to do is just click New Drawing, and then it will open up this blank space. On the left, you have a whole bunch of options. You have a color palette, so you can pick different colors. You can go away from the basic palette and go to custom and use this little toggle to find things. You can go even further and look up what's called the hex code. So if you go on a new tab, you can type in a color that you want to find and find the hex code and copy and paste it in here. And you can then go and get real specific. So there's that. There's the color palette and how to change those. Then you can change the size of your brush. It'll show you a little thumbnail right here on what that's going to look like. And then the opacity means how dark that's going to be. So if you want to make your lines somewhat translucent or transparent, you can just add layers. Then you have different brush options. You have a pencil. You have something that mimics a pen, a quill pen. You have a marker. You have sort of a chalk pastel, and then you have an eraser. So those are the basics of what to do. And then when you draw on here, you can see this will then allow you to draw. So then if I change the opacity like I had done before or said before, you'll see that this is slightly darker. And on the marker, same thing. If I then go here and then change the opacity, I can make this lighter and play around with values. So I can also go backward and forward. So say I make a mistake, I can click these little arrows up here and undo what I had done. Another faster way to do that is on your keyboard, hit Control-Z. That's undo in almost any program. Another really amazing feature that drawing programs and other tools have are something called layers. So on the top right, there's a layers button. I can click that. That allows me to turn on and off different layers. So I can click a plus sign and say I'm working on top of my portrait. I can then add a drawing on top of this. And then now this is a separate layer that I can get rid of and add. So I can draw a basic shape or form. So let's say I want to make this layer visible. I actually just want to get rid of it. Then what I can do is, get started drawing something kind of interesting here. Then I can start shading this thing a little bit and playing around like that. See what happens as I add some line work and scumble this in, sort of scribble it in. Maybe then take my brush, add some other little color in here, like some cool colors there. Make this look like it's in shade. Then maybe some warm colors for fun on this side. So anyway, I can add that, and then if I want to add more to it, but I don't want to mess up my drawing because I like it a lot, I can add a blank layer. Then I could go in and be like, all right, I have the basic colors in. I'm going to then now change my brush size to make it really dark and a little bit smaller. And maybe I'll grab like a black brush and start adding some line work to make my object look more defined. So I can play around with different drawing techniques and see what I can accomplish on my artwork. And maybe I have a shadow that I want to start layering in. Maybe I want to make the shadow on another layer. So I'll hit plus and then make my shadow. So I'm going to then take this, go here. Maybe I'll make my shadow like a blue value and change my brush opacity a little bit lower so I can go a little slower and make my brush kind of big. And I can start adding in a shadow. Like so. And if I layer it, it's of course going to get darker. But there's just a lot of fun ways to play around with starting to create artwork in Chrome Canvas. So those are the basics on getting started. Now, for the next step, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be bringing in a portrait. So if I go back, I will see my drawing. So there's the one I just made. Now you're going to make a new drawing, and you can click New from Image. So after you have shot a photograph, you can click New from Image and then open it into, it'll then pop up a box for you to then open up. I'll go into my camera roll and find the image, and now it'll open up a wonderful portrait of me, and I can work on top of this. Now, of course, my next step is going to be to click on Layers, And then I have a blank layer already that I'm going to start drawing on, and I can slowly add more layers. So I can start adding different things to this to start working on my drawing. Our first step then for this is going to be to start by outlining our face. So I'm just going to take a brush, and I'm actually going to use something that's sort of like I'm going to go with black because we're going to make this cool kind of like hard-lined illustration. And I'm going to make the size fairly small, and then the opacity all the way up. And now I'm going to trace my dominant features. So I'm going to go down around my big chin. Oop, I don't like that. So I'm going to go like this and trace my features. Not the whole face, but just some of these features. So my wrinkle lines, I'm smiling, and work my way around and continues to do that. And what I can do as I'm going is I can make things visible and invisible and see how they're coming along. Now, if I go back to one of the images that I've worked on a little bit more, like this one, you will see on my layers, so I'm going to make these things invisible. I have added many layers with different like colors and things like that to make some of the parts. Laughing because it looks silly. Look at all these colors. You can see where I've highlighted around my face and created this drawing using thicker and thinner lines with my pencil and marker. So you can see that as I worked around and like thin lines, thick lines, and kind of did that. Then after I did that, I actually went through and found some of the values on my face. You can see like that like lighter color here, darker color as I go to create some of the values. Then I worked on my hair and created some light, filled it in with a darker brown, and then added some different values for highlights. Then I was working on some of the highlights on a new layer for my eyes and some highlight on my face. Then I added some color for my shirt, like blue, and then some lighter blue. Then I changed my shirt into a plaid shirt like that. And then I added, finally, a background to change and make this drawing of me. So those are some basics on creating things in Chrome Canvas. Certainly get creative, play around, and try, but a really fun tool. Excited to see what you